Wednesday meeting, January 4, 2023. All right, I'm your host and MC, Dan Wasink, and our goals here, as you most likely know, are to foster community, to share and help each other. We do this with our groups IO. We also try to, get entertaining and inform our guests with weekly meetings. And we try to help you out with our Apple devices through classes, which start out this Saturday. A little bit more on that shortly. And again, like I said, we just try to help each other out through our groups IO. You can find the latest information at our website, NaplesMUG.com. And of course, everyone here has a membership to Groups IO. So you can also go there. And if you have a question or anything, it's a great place to ask. Anyone can sign up. So if you know anybody that might benefit from our meetings or our classes, please send them over to our website, NaplesMUG.com. A few announcements here. Our first one is we have our classes starting out, and this Saturday is our first class with Jeff Bohr. He is going to be talking about macOS Ventura. And macOS Ventura was released back in October. I've been using it for quite a few months now. Usually I wait a little bit longer, but it's really kind of nice. And, Stage Manager is probably one of my favorite features. I do use that more often than I thought. But there's also some nice other features and some big changes with it in the Settings app. It's not just your system preferences. They really rearrange stuff and move things around. So he's going to go spend 2 hours on macOS Ventura. So if you have a new Mac, you may want to take a look at this. If you've upgraded your Mac, if you're waiting to upgrade, take a look at, join us this Saturday for macOS Ventura. Next week, we are going to have a new speaker, Mike Matthews, and what he is going to be talking about, I thought this was kind of interesting. What he's going to be talking about is Apple Pay and Wallet. He's going to basically describe how the wallet is designed to replace your wallet, as well as talk about Apple Cash and the Apple Card and the benefits and things like that. So you want to join us for that next week. He comes from San Francisco area, and he teaches class. He is an Apple consultant. So this should really be good. That's next week, Wednesday. All right. We have our president, Eckert. Eckert, would you like to say anything?
Just a few words, Dan. Again, Happy New Year. And maybe I was asked a few minutes ago by Christian, how do you say that in German? Because I'm from Germany originally. And we do say frohes neues Jahr. But more recently, we always add, all of us, and we wish you good health as well. Have a great new year and good health. And I think that is very appropriate. And I would like to extend those wishes to our entire membership here now that I'm just talking to you very briefly. Have a great new year and have a healthy one. And we are looking forward to our class program. It is really exciting. The registration has been outstanding. We have close to 100 people having signed up for each individual class right now. And we normally have an attendance of roughly 120, 130, which I believe is a very good participation, which allows us to really have interaction between the instructors and our members. And that is so important about these classes. Mm-hmm. So again, a wonderful 2023 to all of us. We're looking forward to an exciting year. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. Sheeta, anything you'd like to add?
I just want to say that welcome and Happy New Year. And I look forward to seeing all of you in our classes. All right, let's go.
All right. And today we have with us Christian Boyce. He's going to be talking about how to make your iPad and iPhone easier to read through little tips and tricks. There's a lot of little things that you can do. And, with me and my readers, I know that I use a few of them already. So it'll be interesting to hear what he says. Just a reminder, this will be live on our YouTube channel in the next couple of days. So if you miss anything or you need to watch it again, you'll be able to see it on there. All right, Christian, the floor is yours.
Okay, so look, here's a typical iPhone screen. This is what most people see. And it's fine, but it turns out that it's a little small for me. The writing under the The icon's a little small for me. So right away, we're going to use this feature called Display Zoom. And one little trick along the way here is we're not going to go hunting for the settings app because it's, who knows where it is. I mean, I've got all these apps. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull down. I'm going to put my finger somewhere on the screen, just about anywhere except for at the very top. So I'm not going to put my finger up here, and I'm not going to put my finger down here, but we are going to put our finger kind of in the middle. And I'm just going to pull down a little bit, and I get a search box. Now, there's other ways to get to that search box. There's a little search button now in iOS 16, but we're just going to look for the word setting here. As soon as I start typing settings, they found it up here at the top. Right here, we're going to touch that and get cracking on it. Okay, so now, where's this display zoom? Well, this one's pretty easy. So I'm gonna go to, you probably could guess that it's in displays and brightness here, right here. And good guess. So I'm gonna do that. So I touched that. One of the hard parts about doing an iPhone class is you can't see my finger touching the screen. So I have to draw these boxes so you can see. Okay, so as we scroll through here, down at the bottom, there's this thing called Display Zoom. So I'm going to touch down there at the bottom, and it's when it says default, it basically means Display Zoom is off. So I'm going to touch it, and what they're showing here is on the right, they're showing you what your phone looks like in sort of a generic way. And on the left, they're showing how it could look if you turn on the display zoom. And it runs through these pictures a little bit faster than I'd like, but you can see here the clock is bigger, the notifications are bigger, the text messages are bigger, the icons are bigger. So let's just do that. I'm going to touch where it says larger text. When you do that, you're not done until you go up here and you say you're done. So I'm going to tap there. Now, when you do this, what it does is it'll turn your phone off just for a second, then turns it back on. I believe we'll stay connected here, so we'll just see. So I'm going to touch where it says use zoomed, and my screen has just gone off, and it should come back. And now it came back, and you see the larger text is on. So now let's go look and see what our screen looks like. It's bigger than it was before, right? Can you tell?
Yes.
It is. Thanks, Sheeta. It is bigger, and the icons are bigger, the words are bigger, everything's bigger. If your phone can do this, I don't see any reason not to do it. The bigger targets, easier to hit, easier to see. Okay. Now, getting back to the settings, a lot of times people know, they know how to do something like this. They'll go to text size in the display and brightness. They'll go here. And then what they'll do is they'll blow this way up like this. And the problem with doing that is it backfires on you is the problem. When you go to look at certain apps, you can't see anything because the text is so big. So for example, if I go to, say, text messages here, this one actually I set, that's a bad example. But you can see if everything's so big, you can't fit more than 1 or 2 words on the screen. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to use the control center to control apps on a case-by-case basis here. So I'm going to, look, I can barely see this. Got to take this back to sort of a normal. Okay. So I do want the text messages to be bigger, but not hugely bigger. So what you do is you go to the text messages like this, and here I'm talking with my friend Brett, and I want this bigger. So I'm going to pull down from the top right corner, what the so-called ear up here. I'm going to pull from there and get the control center. Okay, so when you've got the control center up, you get all these nice things that you've seen before. And I'm not going to teach you how to add things to the control center, but I'll give you a hint. It's in the settings, okay? And if you come to the class a week from Saturday, I'll go into this. But you see at the bottom, I have something with a couple of A's on it. And that button there, which is not there by default, but I added it in the control center. What this lets me do is adjust the size of text, maybe for all apps, but maybe just for messages. So here I can go to messages, because down here at the bottom, I've got this control, and I can say, let's make messages big, but other apps we're going to leave alone. So you can do this on an app by app basis as you need it. As you're using something and you realize it needs to be a little bigger, you can just pull down on the control center, go to the text size, and do this. So now how's it going to look? Well, let's go see. So you see, there it is. Okay, so this is blown up. I'll pull down again. If that turns out to be too big, I can tap it again and we can pull it down a little bit. So that's nice. So that's using the control center without going to settings. The nice thing about that is you didn't have to leave the app you're in. So let's say, we'll just do it again. Let's say I'm reading the mail, and here's a piece of mail I want to read, and I want it to be a little bit bigger. I don't have to go to settings. I don't have to leave the mail, go to settings, find the right setting, make it bigger, leave the settings, go back to the home screen, go back to the mail. I don't want to do any of that stuff. I just want to pull down from the top right corner up here and find my AA down there, make things a little bit bigger, and then a couple of taps later, I'm back and it's bigger. Okay, so that's the way to do it. All right, now let's look at this home screen again. Turns out that this is not really my home screen. I've got a customized home screen that works better for me than a whole bunch of icons. You can see across the top, I've got the apps that I use a lot. The calendar, the weather, photos, clock, and they kind of get lost in all of this stuff. So I've done something different. So I'm going to show you what my real home screen looks like. It really looks like this. This is my home screen. So these are widgets. Okay, so those four big squares at the bottom, those are widgets that are things that you can add to your phone. They're included with the phone. They're already there. You're just not using them. So we're going to use them because besides being informative, when you look at these things, I can tell right now that I have an appointment at 9:30. I can see the weather right now in Santa Monica. I can see part of my to-do list, and I can see a nice picture too. I don't have to touch anything to see those things. It's information at a glance. Really, really nice. And it turns out, though, that those things that you see on the screen, like this thing that has to do with the calendar, or this thing that has to do with the weather, those are touchable. When you touch them, you launch the app. So if I wanted to look at my calendar right now, I can touch this big icon instead of the little tiny icon. So when I touch it, there's the calendar. Okay, so that's what we want, is something big. It's uncluttered. It's way better than this. I mean, this top row does the same things, but they're smaller. It's cluttered. The other way is better. And notice also that here, when I look at the calendar, it just tells me it's the 4th. It doesn't tell me what my next appointment is. When I look at the weather, it just shows me a generic cloud and sun. It doesn't show me what the weather is until I touch it. So it cuts your work down if you're already showing things like this. So how do we do this? Well, it turns out that widgets are built into certain apps. And the way you get to them is you get your screen wiggling by putting your finger on the screen and holding it until things start to wiggle. We've all done this, maybe by accident. But up at the top, you have a nice plus. So we're going to touch this plus because we want to add a widget. Okay, so there are lots of widgets here, and these are some that Apple is suggesting to me. But if we scroll down here a little bit, we'll see an alphabetical list of widgets. And if this list of widgets looks like a list of apps, that's because it is. Some apps have a built-in widget. Other apps don't, and that's why they're not on this list. But you don't have a widget without an app. So you install an app, and then it might come with a widget. So I'm going to come down here to calendar. I saw calendar go by. And when I touch the calendar, they show me different kinds of widgets that I could use. This is the one that I am using. It's showing me my next appointment at 9:30. I have a LinkedIn appointment at 9:30. Well, I'm gonna sort of pan through here. Here's another one, a little bit bigger widget, shows me 2 appointments later today. And this stuff here, this is real. This is reading my calendar right now. So they're not showing me some sort of generic thing. They're showing me my real calendar, how it would look. As I move across here, here's another thing. It's a little bit bigger. It takes up more room. Here's one that's just a monthly calendar if that's what you want. And here's a list view. Okay, so I like this one. So I'm going to touch this one, but if you think that you can touch this to make it add to your home screen, that's what I would think too, but it doesn't work that way. What you have to do is you have to hit down at the bottom where it says add widget. So I'll do that now. And when you do it, you see it adds it to your home screen like that. And it always adds it in the upper left, and it always pushes everything else around. So get ready to rearrange things after you do this, because it does disturb your layout. Now I'm going to add the weather one again myself. So I'm going to sort of start from scratch here. I'm going to put my finger on the screen, wait till things start to wiggle. Didn't matter where I put it. I'm going to hit the plus at the top left. I'm going to scroll down here until I find weather. This is Apple's built-in weather app. I'll touch this. And I like this forecast. I'm going to use this one, but you can see there's a bigger one. There's one that's got an hourly forecast, but I'm just going to use this one here. So again, I touch down there where I've got it surrounded in green, and we'll add that widget. And so now I've got that. You can rearrange these. I can drag this one over this way. Put them anywhere you want, but anyway, the 2 of them is enough so you can see what's going on. Now, while we're here, you notice I still have the calendar app here. I still have the weather app here. I don't really need them anymore because I've got bigger targets now. So I'm going to hit the minuses on those and make them go away. I'm only going to remove them from the home screen. I don't need them to, I don't want to get them completely deleted. I just want to be able to get them out of where they are now. And so I'll do the same thing with the weather. I'm going to remove from the home screen. And so now, to get out of this wiggly stuff, you can do it a couple ways. You can touch where it says done at the top right. You can just wait a long time and it'll quit wiggling, or you can swipe up. And if your phone has a home button, you can just click the home button. That'll make it work too. So I'm going to tap done because we're on a schedule here. I don't want to just wait, but if you did wait, it would stop wiggling. Okay, so now I've got 2 big targets. So bigger, getting back to our bigger is better. Yeah, it's bigger and it's better. I can see what's going on and I can just touch it to go to the calendar. That's the way I like it. Okay, nice and big. Okay, let's talk about Safari. So I'm going to go to Safari here and I'm going to read an article here. And this article from the Mac Rumors site, it's not bad.
Were you able to get it?
No,
What's the matter?
No, go ahead. Someone's
I'm
got your
being.
mic.
Good. All right. Okay, so as we scroll through this article, you see I keep running into ads, and it's disruptive. Messes up the reading experience. And there's an ad across the bottom that I'm liable to touch by mistake. I don't want to do that. So, and besides that, remember when Steve Jobs introduced the iPhone, he says, "Look, it's a giant screen." But a giant screen that's this big, right? But yeah, giant screen. It's not giant, okay? It's small. So to try to read a web page on something this small is really kind of hard unless you do it this way. So what I'm going to do is I've got this article up, and I'm going to look at these little A's here. I'm going to touch those little A's, and now I can make things bigger. I've got the up here, I've got some size controls here. I can do it like this, bigger, smaller, like that. But if things went my way, which of course they're not going my way right now. Let's see. It's always something, isn't it?
Always.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna show you something that's gonna be great eventually. So I'm gonna look at I'm gonna try to find a Mac Rumors article that I can really demo properly here. So here's an article. Will it work? No, of course not. Why not? Okay, I'm gonna find another article. Sorry, folks, that one was all queued up to work perfectly. Let's go to one of my favorite websites. Here's ChristianBoyce.com. Okay, so I'm going to read about the NFL primetime schedule here. Okay, so here's an article, and it's not so hard to read, but there's an ad at the top. There's you know, it could be better. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to the top, and I'm going to touch here. And we're going to see the words show reader. Okay. So when I touch show reader, what you get is just the content of that article. Okay. Look how nice this is. This you can read. This is a nice way to read stuff. It's a nice background. You got a big font. There's no ads. There's no malarkey, you know, in the middle. It's just nice. So once you've gotten there, you can touch this part, which is now turned black. You can touch that and either hide the reader, which I can't think of a good reason to do that, or you can also change all kinds of settings for what you're reading. For example, you could change the background color if you want to read it against white. I can do it like this. It's white. I can read it against this sort of tan. I can read it white on gray like this, or white on black like this. You can also change the font and the size of the font. So I can make this bigger yet, and it just turns out great. So so now I've got this really easy to read thing that anyone can read. And when it's a good little web page, it will rearrange itself to fit like this. If it's a bad web page, it will either overflow the edges, or it won't even allow you to do reader, which is what we saw when I went to Mac Rumors. I'm going to try them. I'm going to give them one more chance here. Go to Mac Rumors. Let's pick an article. This looks interesting. And I'm going to, when this article comes up, I'm going to touch up at the top. I've got to touch where the URL is. Then we'll touch the A's. Yeah, so this is grayed out. The reason this is grayed out is because Safari can't figure out what is an article, what's the article and what's the ads. It can't separate. If it's a web page that has lots of articles on it, like the front of a newspaper, they can't do it there either. So it doesn't mean that it's a terrible web page. It just means that Safari can't figure it out. Here's one more chance. This is the LA Times. I'm going to look at this weather report, and it's gone to reader. This is the reader mode already. So this is quite nice for reading stuff a little bit bigger. The article used to look like this. And there's an ad right in the middle. Here's a link to another article right in the middle. And there's another link. And these are just things that you're liable to click on by mistake. But if you go to the reader mode, touch up here and go to reader, it's just clean. Okay, so that's that. And you should look for it. Look for the reader when you can. Okay, let's do one more thing. Now let's look at back at this my text messages here. So my friend Brett here was writing to me, and he's handling something else for me this morning while I'm here with you. And it'd be nice if I could have just had the iPhone read this to me instead of me having to look at it. This is particularly handy if you're in the car and you don't want to look at your phone, but you want to absorb the message. So you'll notice if I touch on here, which I'm going to do, I'm going to touch this, I'm going to hold it. I get some options, but none of them say read this out loud to me. I see copy, I see translate, I see a more button. We'll talk about those things in a week from Saturday, but none of them say speak. So what are we going to do about that? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to go to settings, and we're going to find a way to speak speak text. Now, look at all these settings. There's gobs of settings. You're never going to find it in here because it's just, I don't know how many there are. I'm going to guess there's 100,000 settings. But it turns out that at the top of settings, if you keep going past this, higher than this, there's a little search box. So I'm going to look here for speak. And I know it's speak something or other. So I'm going to just scroll through here and I'm going to see, not seek, speak. You do have to know how to type a little. Okay. Remember that part about doing stuff live instead of having a canned presentation that's perfect? Okay, that was it. That's you got your money's worth now. So what I want here is I want to say speak selection, this one down here. Now you might not have guessed that, but you're close with this. So the nice thing about doing a search in the settings is you don't really have to know how to get there. They're telling you that if you go to the accessibility section and then you go to the spoken content section, you'll get there, but you don't have to do any of that. All you got to do is touch it and it takes you there. So what I'm going to do is turn on this feature, which is normally turned off. I'm going to turn that on, speak selection. So now, what did I get out of that? Well, let's go back to our text messages here. So here's my message from Brett. I'm gonna tap and hold on this again, just like I did before. And at the bottom of it, it now says speak. So I'm gonna touch speak, and if I remembered to share the sound with you, you'll hear the sound.
No problem, and no rush, as long as I have it by morning. And can you also forward me the link for the meeting? Thank you.
Okay, I hope you heard it. If you
We
didn't
did.
hear it, I heard it. Did you hear
We
it?
did.
You
Yes, we did.
Good. So speaking this is great. So anytime you have your text message, I can just put my finger on it, and right down here I can just tap.
Just a reminder that I haven't seen the email for tomorrow morning's meeting yet.
So I find that very, very, very handy. And sometimes some of the people I text with write really long messages. Great. I can just put my finger on it, say read it, and I can go do something else while I can fold my socks or something while I'm listening to messages. So that's a good one. All right. So that's the end of the bigger is better section. Now, I'm going to share my other screen again. I'm going to share the computer screen with you for a minute because I want to show you what we're going to do next. So, all right, that was fun. Yeah. So let's see if we can, share this screen that didn't work the first time. Okay. Okay. So we're going to make typing, right? Do you see my presentation over here on the left?
We do.
Good. Yay. Thanks. Okay. So typing is one of the slowest things we do, but we have to do it all the time. So let's make that easier. Let's make it faster. So one of the things to do is let Apple help you when they make suggestions. We're gonna take the suggestion. I'll show you that in a minute. When you need to type certain characters, like characters with accents, there are ways to do that that are quick and easy. When you're typing email addresses, there's some quick and easy ways. I'm gonna show you that in a minute. You can make the keyboard bigger so that you can type more easily. We'll show you that. I'll show you the famous trackpad mode, which once I show you, you'll want to show someone else and you'll never stop using it. Dictation, maybe it's faster to just talk instead of typing. It probably is. So we're going to cover all of those things right now. So let's get back to the iPhone. Okay, and here we go. So I'm going to write an email. Okay, so I'm going to write an email here. So here's an email, and I'm going to start writing. I want to ask general kind of friendly stuff. How are you today? How's the weather? So I start typing how, and I'll say are, and you see, I'm not going to type you because right here, right there next to, I'm going to draw a little box right here. There's the word you. So the iPhone is guessing that that's something that I might type next. So I'm going to just touch it. And there's also the word doing there. How are you doing And today is exactly what I was going to do. And so they've saved me all the trouble of tapping. So now I want to put a question mark here. So the normal person is going to see, oh, well, look, we're already, there's a space after the word today, so I better delete it and then type the question mark. But it turns out that if you simply type the question mark, they take care of that space for you. So don't work so hard, okay? Let the phone make the suggestions and watch for them in this area here. You've got to watch, let me get my tools again. Yeah, watch for suggestions here and use them. You know, if they're right, just tap them, and it's going to save you an awful lot of typing. So you're actually going to type faster by typing less. Okay, so let's, I'm going to hit return here, and we're going to do a couple more. I'm going to say it's raining. There. I don't have to type the rest of raining. I can see it right there in the center, right here. So I'm just going to tap. All right. So let's just tap that and throw that in there. I'll just say here, and I'm going to put a T, and they've already guessed that today is what I want. Okay. All right. Well, that was easy, wasn't it? Now I'm going to come down here and I want to show you some special characters. So Luka Doncic, basketball player in Dallas, scored 60 points the other day. Amazing performance. So I want to write someone and say, did you see Luka Doncic? Well, but the way he's Croatian, and his at least his name is, and his he's got all these crazy diacritical marks on the letters. So how are we going to do those? So I'm just going to write, did you see Luka? Now, Apple knows, the iPhone knows that Luka has got to be capitalized. They capitalized it already. They don't know Doncic, so I'm going to have to do a capital D. So when I get here, there's a C, but it's a C. You know, someone who knows more than me about this stuff will know that it's that C with a little chevron thing on it. Well, I'm going to touch the C, and I'm going to hold it down here. And you see all these different versions of the letter C, and the one I want is that one. So I just slide over, and now I'm going to do the other C, which is that's the one he wants, and there's our question mark. And so now I can finish. Okay, so there are a lot of special characters in there. Okay, lots and lots, and you simply have to put your finger on things and hold them. If you want to type words like mañana, you need an N-Y. The N has got it. If you just hold it, there it is, right? If you need to type like the word resume, if you decide you want to go get a job, you need to put an accent on the E. You can see if I touch the E and hold it, there's a resume accent E. Okay. All right, well, here's this great email. What I didn't do here is I didn't address it. So let's pretend I'm going to send it to, let's see, I'm going to send it to Joe. All right, joe@somewhere.com. That's probably a real address, but anyway, here goes Joe at somewhere. Okay. Now, I'll say it's joe@somewhere.edu. Okay. So when I have a keyboard like this, and it's a keyboard like this means that it's an email keyboard, because Apple has given us down here the things that you need for an email address, namely an @ sign. So when I hit the period, when I have a keyboard like this and I touch the period, the dot, if I hold it, there's .edu. I can just slide over and I can let go. So rather than me hitting the period and then hitting the E, then the D, then the U, I basically touch the period and slide up to where I want to be. If it wasn't .edu, let's say it was .org, I can just touch dot, slide over to .org. I know you know how to spell, I know you know how to type, but we make mistakes anyway, and so it's frustrating to do that when you know what you're doing. This way you cut down on your chances to make mistakes. So it is faster. All right, so that's good. Now, supposing I'm down here and I want to type a little bit more, if I turn the phone sideways, hopefully this will rotate on the screen too. There you are. The keyboard's bigger. Look how big the keyboard is. If I go back here, this keyboard on my iPhone, I would estimate is 2 inches wide from here to there. That's about 2 inches. Now, when I rotate it, that's more like about, oh, I don't know, 3.5 to 4 inches. I mean, it's almost the full width of the iPhone. The buttons are bigger. They're spread out more. You don't hit the right one. You don't hit the wrong ones so easily. So, you know, try typing like this. And if you want to try typing with your thumbs, you can. But the point is, it's bigger, and that's nice. So you can do that not every time you see a keyboard, but a lot of the time. It's worth a try. Now, I want to do two more things here about making typing easier. I want to look at the so-called trackpad mode. Now, supposing what I wanted to do is in this sentence up here, suppose I wanted to edit this. And I wanted to say, I don't just want to say it's raining here. I want to say it's raining cats and dogs here today. Well, if you have tried this before, you know, you take your finger and you try to stab at it in the right place. And I didn't do badly there, but it's hard to do, especially if the text is tight. If there's not big gaps, if you're trying to put maybe a character, the insertion point between letters and not just between words. But so what you do to get there is you can press the space bar down here. So if I touch and hold the space bar, okay, watch what happens. So I'm going to touch it and hold it. All the keys disappear because now this whole area down at the bottom is like a trackpad. And so I'm moving my finger around and I'm putting the cursor wherever I want. So I can put it right here and I can let go and say cats and dogs like this. And I could, if I wanted to, let's say I want to put the cursor right after the number 60, but before the period. That's a tough one to do because the period's so small. But I put my finger again on the space, okay, hold it, wait till the letters disappear, and then just keep the finger down and slide around until I get to where I want to be, which I missed, but there it is, there. So I can write in more stuff. So that's the trackpad mode, really fun. It's much easier to move the cursor around that way than it is to try to pinpoint stab it with your finger because your finger is just not pointy enough. All right, last but not least on this, let's do some dictation. So it's way faster to dictate. And anytime you've got a microphone showing like this, the odds are that that's meant for you to dictate. So I'm going to dictate a quick line here. Let's see. I can't wait to see him in the playoffs this year, period. New paragraph. I wonder if we can get tickets, period. All right, so I stabbed this down here. I tapped this button, the microphone button at the end to make it stop. Otherwise, it would record my whole explanation here. But you can see how well they do at dictation. So as fast as the typist as you might be, you're probably faster at speaking. So, I mean, you've been doing it longer, so you're better at it. You just have to remember that when you're dictating, you're going to speak the punctuation. You're going to say things like period. You're going to say things like comma. When you want a new paragraph, like I said, it leaves a gap between. If you say new line, it hits a return but doesn't leave the gap. So experiment with that. It's going to really pay off. Okay, good. So that was that takes care of that. And our next item here. Okay, our next item is Siri. So I'm going to show you this slide again. Let's stop sharing this. We'll go back and show you what's going on over here. There we go. So these are the things I want us to learn about now. So, you know, anytime you can use Siri and it works, it's going to be faster than if you did it by hand. So let's learn about that. So these are some of my favorite things to do with Siri. Setting a timer. You can ask when's your next appointment. You ask what's the weather like. You can ask to call a friend. You can launch an app. You can tell it to wake you up. You can tell it to remind you to do something. And this one is really one of my favorites because you can say, not just remind me at 2:30 p.m., but you can say remind me when I get to my house. So that's super handy because you might think of this while you're out, and then when you get home, the reminder pops up. So, and here's some sports stuff. So let's see if we can actually make all those things happen. Okay, so doing Siri, I did a Siri demo at Macworld one year, and I felt like I was walking a tightrope the whole time because it's a little bit iffy, but we're going to do it again here. Okay, so we're going to reshare our iPhone. Okay, so now there's a couple ways to do this, and I'm going to do it I'm going to manually push the button on the side of the phone here, on the side button. I'm going to press and hold that, and Siri will come right in. If you're going to press and hold it like that, you don't need to say, "Hey Siri." There he's listening already. Stop that. So I'm just going to press it and hold it and do these things. So let's see what happens. Set a timer for 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Counting down.
Okay, that's nice. When's my next appointment? Wait a minute. When's my next appointment?
Next up at 7:30 a.m. BNI meeting.
Okay. What's the weather like?
It's currently raining and 58 degrees.
Okay. And I've set this to show me, oh, I think we're not seeing, I'm not sure if you're seeing, there you go. That's what I want to see. You want to see the weather. I want it to show on the screen what I'm doing. And so that's an option. And we'll talk about that a week from Saturday. Okay, so now let's say you want to call somebody. If I want to call my friend Athena, I can, luckily I only know one Athena, but if I knew more than one, it would ask me which one. But I'm going to do this and it'll just do it. Call Athena.
Calling Athena Paris Mobile.
Okay, I better hang up. She's at work. Okay, now let's say you want to launch an app, and I'm going to launch the calculator because that was what I showed you on the slide, but it could be any app. Launch the calculator. Or did I lose my connection here?
No, I still see you.
You still see the phone?
Yes, I do.
Okay, that's odd.
But there's a please keep your microphones muted. There was a message on it.
Okay, we're gonna do it again. Okay, so let's share it again. Okay, we're back to sharing, right? You see what I'm doing. So
Yes.
if you want to launch an app, the key thing here is you need to know that the keywords, and the one I want is launch. So, I could dig through here looking for the calculator, and there's other ways to find a calculator, but I'm just going to ask Siri to do it. Launch the calculator. And I had it. It was there. Come back here. Launch the calculator. There's a calculator.
There,
yay. Okay. So this works better in real life than it's doing right now. Trust me there. Now I'm going to tell it to wake me up at 2:30 as if I'm going to take a nap. That's not going to happen today, but wake me up at 2:30 p.m. Done. That'll be fun. And now I'm going to ask it, since I'm actually in my house right now, I'm going to ask it to have them do something else for me. I'm going to have my iPhone remind me to call somebody when I leave. Okay. So the phone knows where you are, and they're aware of that. So I'm going to say remind me to take out the garbage when I leave here. Okay. Remind me to take out the garbage when I leave here.
Okay, I added it.
And so they know where I am, and that's going to happen when I leave. I will get this reminder. Okay. Okay, so that's easy too. And finally, sports wise, I'm going to ask about when the 49ers game comes up this week. When do the 49ers play next?
The 49ers face the Cardinals on Sunday at 1:25 p.m.
Okay, so that takes care of the series stuff. So Siri's really good at certain things like that, and all you should do is try it. If you say, well, Siri doesn't like me, or I don't like her, or one of those things, give the relationship another chance. Okay, Siri is better week by week. Okay, it's not as good as it ought to be, but it's still going to help you a lot of times. Now, especially if you're doing it hands-free, like here I'm pushing the button and doing it. But if you've got the phone on the kitchen counter and your hands are wet, and you can set a timer for a certain number of minutes, that's great. You didn't have to dry your hands, you didn't get your phone wet, you just were able to say, hey Siri, do this. Okay, so we're about to see our alarm go off here for our 5-minute timer. So I'm gonna let it ring. And then we'll stop it here. All right, so it's going off, and one little bonus is next time your Siri has the alarm go off, you can just tell Siri, you can say, hey Siri, stop, and it'll turn it off. Okay, let's look at some odds and ends. These are some of my favorite things. I'm not going to sing favorite things, but these are my favorite things. So let's look at these. This is a grab bag of stuff. So we're going to do some camera stuff. We're going to swipe back and forth between apps. We're going to get to FaceTime in a hurry. I'm going to show you something about Face ID, and I'm going to show you something about searching for mail. All right. So these are all things that there's a hard way and easy way. And a lot of people are doing things the hard way. So we're going to do them the easy way. So let's start with the camera. So look, we all know about the camera. We've got a camera here. And hopefully here's a camera. All right, so here's a camera app. That's great, right? Here's a camera. All right, well, what do we usually do? We go to take a picture, and we're holding the camera with one hand like this, and we're taking our other hand and we're sort of stabbing at that white button on the screen. And that's a crazy way to take a picture. Who does that? I mean, if you ever used a real camera, you certainly didn't hold it with one hand when you did it, and you didn't try to bump it with your other hand and make it wiggle and get out of focus. You didn't do it like that. What you did is you held it like this, right? You held it sideways. And if my phone here would rotate, that'd be great. It should rotate. It's not rotating. Let me see. I'm going to see if I can do this. That's another one of these things that worked a little while ago. Okay, let's try it. I'm going to go sideways here. I need the phone to go sideways, otherwise this demo is not quite as exciting. Okay, and we're done with that. Camera. Okay, well, you got to take my word for this, that on the side of the phone, you've got your volume buttons, volume up and volume down. I'm sure you've used those a lot. Well, it turns out that if you're holding your phone like this, so don't watch the screen, watch me. If you're holding the phone like this, you can press the volume up button and the volume down button and take a picture. You'll, oh, here you go, it worked. Of course it worked. Okay, now, so when I take the picture, that's a picture. Okay, there's another picture, and it turns out you can use either button, whichever one's easier for you to get to. But this is a way we know how to take a picture like this. This is how we grew up holding a phone, or holding a camera and taking a picture. It's just a little squeeze. So you get first of all, you get you're not going to wiggle. You're not going to bounce the phone when you stab at it with your finger. you're pressing a real button. That's nice. And also your phone is sideways, so you're taking a sideways picture, which almost always looks better than a vertical picture. So anyway, turn it sideways, try it. And you know what? There's more to it than that. But you know what? What do I always say? A week from Saturday. Okay. Right. Now, let's say, by the way, that you're going to take some pictures and you're checking for an email that you say, oh my gosh, there's an email that I've got to go look for. And so what do? Well, you leave the camera app, right? You swipe up, you go to the mail, you look to see if that piece of mail came in. You're looking here. Okay. And it's not there. So now you go back to your camera. Well, what am I going to do? I'm going to swipe up and I'm going to the camera. So that's 2 steps, right? So when I want to leave, you leave the app by swiping up. You launch the app by doing that. That's 2 steps. So what if I told you I could cut your work in half? Well, I can cut your work in half. So down here at the bottom in the that little white bar that we are always swiping up on, this guy down here, this bar doesn't just swipe up, it swipes sideways. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna swipe it sideways. So if I swipe it sideways, there's the mail. And if I push it back the other way, there's the camera. Now I could keep going. Here's all the apps we've been in. But the point is that it's really quick to go back and forth between things when all you're doing is swiping on that bar left and right. So look, it's one move, right? One. There is no step 2. It's too easy. So start doing that, show your friends, and they're going to be impressed. And you're going to save yourself just a little bit of trouble many, many times a day. All right, now let's say you want to FaceTime somebody. Well, what do? Well, you probably go to the FaceTime app, or you go to the Contacts app, and you start a FaceTime there. But let's say instead what you want to do is you're in a text message. You're thinking, gee, it'd be nice if I could switch to FaceTiming right now. Well, you've got it right here. It's right here. So all you've got to do is tap that up there. And so that's what I'm going to do. And you get your choice. Are we doing FaceTime audio or FaceTime video? Well, I'm doing video. Now, this is not going to work because the person I'm FaceTiming here isn't there, but here it goes. Okay. Oh, so they show me. I'll just hang up now, but you see how easy that is. You can access that from wherever you happen to see a little icon like that. So that's good. Now, speaking of faces, let's talk about Face ID. So in the olden days, we had a nice Touch ID button where you could just put your thumb on it and your phone unlocked. Really nice. Now you've got to kind of look at the phone and it kind of looks back at you and it decides whether it's you. That's Face ID. The problem with Face ID is sometimes it's a little too choosy, a little too picky about whether that's really you. So what we want to do is we want to make it a little easier for it to realize it's you. You don't want to leave your phone unlocked, but you want to make it so that they can recognize you a little bit more easily. So what we do is you go to the settings, find your settings, and up here, I'm going to search again because I can't remember where it is. I'm going to go to Face ID. Here we go. So I start looking for Face ID. I see this right here. So let's just tap that and see what we have. Okay. Now, there's 2 things here. One is Face ID and attention. Require attention for Face ID. What they're saying is if you're not really looking at the phone, if I'm holding the phone here and I'm looking over there, they're not going to unlock the phone. But that's inconvenient for me. If I have the phone, say, on the dashboard of the car and I need to unlock it for some reason, I don't want to be staring at the phone. I got to look over there at the road. So I want to look at that Tesla that went over the cliff. So I don't want to have attention for Face ID. So this is a feature that I turn off. Now they're saying it's a little less secure, but I mean it's a choice. I think it's secure enough. So that's what I do. Now, then you have to put your code in to make sure that they know that you know what you're doing. This one down below where it says attention aware features, you can read about it in the fine print right down here. The idea is that they don't want the screen to go dim when you're looking at it. So let's say you're watching a YouTube video or something like that. You don't want the iPhone to go to sleep just because you're not touching it. So this is a nice thing to have turned on. So we like the other one off. We like this one on. Okay, so that takes care of that. All right, now the last thing I have for you has to do with searching for mail. This happens all the time. I bet if I had a dime for every time someone asked me or told me that their email search doesn't work, I'd have a lot of dimes. Okay, so I'm gonna go up here. I'm gonna search for barbecue. Okay, I'm looking for an email that someone sent me about barbecue. So I'm gonna look here, BARBECUE. And what do I get here? They show me two things. Actually, I'm going to shrink this down a little bit. Let's use our little trick we learned here down at the bottom. Let's make that a little smaller so we can see things better. Okay. So I did a search and they found two things. But these are from, 8 and 9 years ago, 9 and 10 years ago. There's got to be more than that. Well, there is more than that. And the reason there's more than that is because we didn't finish. When I was up here typing the word barbecue and it found these top hits, I stopped. That's a mistake. Down here, there's actually a button. You have to hit it. So when I hit that button to search, now I get a whole lot of emails about barbecue. Okay. Of course, some of them are from me, but there you are. Here's some barbecue. I mean, they all have the word barbecue in them somewhere. Barbecue, barbecue, barbecue. So remember to hit the search button before you think that your iPhone doesn't work. It works. So I'll just do another search. Let's say I'm looking for, let's say I'm gonna look for something about the attic. Well, they found me two things, right? But you think just two? Are you nuts? Not just two. Hit the search button, and now you've got a gazillion of them. Okay. So, all right, that is what I have for you today. Now I am ready for your grab bag of questions. I can't wait. Here we go.
Okay, first of all, I would like if Kimmy Akato, would unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, on location reminders, if I set a reminder to take out the trash, for instance, wouldn't I be getting the reminder after I've already left the house? And
Yeah, that was a really, really bad example, but the good example was the one to say, remind me to take my pill when I get home, when I get to my house. When you leave, you might say, remind me to call Steve when I leave here, that kind of thing. So I had writer's block there when I tried to come up with an example on the fly. Bad example, but I should take out the garbage anyway. It's just good move. So good question.
All right, thank you, Kimmy.
And by the way, you don't get the message doesn't happen, right when you step foot out of the door. I mean, you have to get half a block away or something before they're going to pop up. So it's not precision, but it's still really handy. And one of the things you can do is you can say, remind me to do something when I get somewhere else. You can say when I get to my mom's house. So a lot of times I'll have something in the car, I put in the car to bring to somebody, and then I get to that place and I forget to give them what I put in the car 2 weeks ago. So now I can say, remind me to give Tom the magazines when I get to his house. And they'll ask me what's the address, and I can do that. So very handy to be able to do it on location.
All right. Don Peacock, can you unmute yourself and please ask your question?
Yes, it was too hard to type into the chat.
No.
I'm a typist, and let's say I'm someplace where I can't talk to Siri,
Yeah.
and I have seemed to have lost the word thanks when I must have changed it at some point. Anyway, so now when I type THA, it comes up with that's, and thanks is not one of the three suggestions. Is there any way I can get, so I've told all my friends, if you see me say that's, it means thanks, because I don't want to have to type 4 letters. Is there any way to get thanks back on a suggestion?
Well, you can make your own keyboard shortcut here. I'm gonna go to the settings. So in the settings, in the general settings, I'm gonna go to scroll down here to general like this. There's general, and I'm gonna scroll down a little bit to keyboard like this. And I'm gonna go to text replacement, the second one there, and I can make one where I can say, if I do, I want it to say thanks, not tanks, right? Thanks. I can just say TH. So if I type TH, it will expand into thanks. So maybe we even save you a couple of characters then. Now I've got it, if I type TY, in fact, you see it there. When I type TY, it turns that into thank you automatically. So rather than speaking in the little acronyms, like, I don't say, be right back. I don't do BRB. I actually say be right back. I have it expand. Or you're welcome is I do YW. Most people just leave it at YW. I have it expand because it just feels better to me to actually have the words, but I don't type them. They just happen. So maybe that'll help.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you, Don. Appreciate your question. Hold on. My question just popped away. Frank Sturdivich, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes. How do you make the clock smaller? Since I updated my iPhone, it's large and I cannot make it smaller on the unlock screen.
Are we talking about like I'm going to go back here to the settings for a minute. We're talking about this clock here, that clock?
Yes.
Like, well, it depends, when we went into the display zoom, and you can see that if you've got the display zoom on, when they show you the lock screen, which is coming right up, they made it that big. That's up to them. Now, if we're talking about a actually, there's something else you could do. It just occurred to me. You do have the ability to create your own lock screens with your own widgets on it, and you can control the fonts there. That's going to be for a week from Saturday also. But yeah, you're talking about, I think, a lock screen widget. So if you do a little Google search for that, you should be able to customize your lock screen. I don't have a lock screen because my phone was set to never go off because I didn't want to lose the connection today. So I have never had a lock screen today. I think if I turn it off, I think I'll lose the connection. So I don't want to do that.
Right.
And you have on the first lock screen, you can't change the font. It's always bold. But on the second and third, so like Christian say, just create a new lock screen, then you can change the font.
Yes.
Okay. Right. A lot of people don't like that new lock screen that came up with the new iOS update. I don't either. But the only way to change it is, like they said, you have to create a new screen.
Right.
Okay. Thank you for that question, Frank.
Thank you.
And you're quite welcome. Thank you. Carl Seacrest. If I mispronounce it, forgive me. Can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
No, it is Seacrest.
Okay,
Christian,
Seacrest.
is there a way to export a reminders list to a text file?
Oof. Probably. I think you can.
You want? Go ahead.
Here's my reminders here. Let's see if we can. I'm gonna guess. Okay, I'm a good guesser. Let's let's try that up there. I'm gonna go to print. You see print here. Let's do that. Let's see what happens next. Let's see if I could print it to a PDF. I could.
Go back.
Send it to the
Go-
Mac. I
go-
could do that. Did you
go
say
back.
go back, Sheeta?
Go back.
You got
Go
it?
back. Go down to the images at the bottom. See if you can squeeze your fingers outward, all the way down to where it says 1, 2,
Yes.
and do the flick outward.
Oh, looky here.
Okay.
And now what?
you can save it to whatever you
that.
want. Mhm.
Oh my goodness. Goodness gracious. That's holy mackerel. I got my money's worth. That's nice. Way to go, Sheeta.
Okay. There you go.
So,
All right.
so I'm gonna text message that to myself here. Look, it made it a PDF. You see that? Way to go. Great question.
All right.
Thank you.
You're
Great
welcome.
question.
All right.
Wow,
We
nice.
have, I believe we have one more question. Stephen Ramirez, please unmute
Bananas.
yourself and ask your question.
Do you use the key flick feature to
Yes.
go into settings? Yeah.
I
Okay, I was just
do.
curious because it's handy.
Yeah, that's better. Key flicking is better with the iPad because the iPad keyboard shows 2 sets of characters on each key, and this key flicking is great. I don't want to. You don't see it on the iPhone as much, but anytime there's two characters on a key, you can access the second one without the shift key if you sort of flick it up. It's a neat thing. If you've got an iPad, look up key flick and you'll be glad you did.
Okay.
So I saw a good question that actually was answered by Peter Emery. It was about turning off the live photo in the camera, so it just stays off. This is up here where if it's on, things wiggle around and it's annoying, and somehow it gets turned on by mistake. So what you can do is there are settings back here in our old friend settings. If I go to settings again and you look at the camera part, it's coming. Here it is. There are a lot of settings in here, including you can tell it to preserve settings. This is so important. Even though the question was answered, I just want to make sure everyone sees it. You can say here that all kinds of things that you want on or off, like here, live photo. If I turn it off, I want it to stay off, okay? Because as it says here, if you don't do that, it will automatically go to live photo on again. So if you've been getting pictures from your friends that are all kind of wiggly, that's because they had live photo turned on. Why don't you teach them how to turn it off here by you turn this feature on so that the camera remembers that you want it off, okay? All right, that was a great question, whoever answered it, and great answer by Peter, but I want to make sure everyone saw that. Like I like to take my pictures with a certain aspect ratio. I like to do the 16:9, and so if I do that, I want those settings remembered. Okay, so that's all stuff you can do here in these great settings for the camera. Okay. What else you got?
Well, that was our last question. We actually have to wrap up. I want to thank everyone for your great questions. And I want to say that if you want more, let me turn my camera on. If you want to see more from Christian Boyce, you know what to do. He has a class coming up on January the 14th, and you know it's going to be great. All right. With that, Dan, I'm going to hand it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Christian. Great information in there, of course, as always. Everyone wants to unmute themselves and thank Christian here.
Fabulous, Christian. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Good job, Christian.
Thank
Thanks a lot.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Christian. That was a great job.
Thank you.
Always
Great.
Thank you.
We will have
Great job, Christian.
okay. We will have a recording on this tomorrow. So that'll be good. And hopefully tomorrow. Usually it's usually Thursday or Friday, but it'll be on YouTube. You'll get an email about that. And next week, we're going to be having, like I mentioned earlier, a brand new speaker, Mike Matthews, and he's going to be talking about Apple Pay and Wallet. So this will be interesting if you want to learn all about the, how you can use the iPhone and possibly even the Apple Watch as your wallet. You want to stay tuned with that. And again, we do have our classes coming up. So take a look at our website. And as always, thank you for your support. And again, Happy New Year to everyone. Welcome back.
Thanks, Dan. Bye-bye.
All right, welcome. Be well. Goodbye, everyone. Be safe.
Thank you, Sheeta.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Dan.
Thank you, Christian. Bye-bye. Thank you, Mike. See you later.
All right, I'm going to end the meeting.
All right.
Bye, Christian.